In this episode, I'm diving into the glory that is 90-day planning, and more specifically, the glory that is 90-day planning in Asana, because it is a babe of an app. It really is. I'm also talking about the holiday that I have planned, which is so exciting, and I'm talking about a surprise giveaway. And I say a surprise giveaway because it came as a surprise to me. I decided on doing this giveaway literally while I was recording, so yeah, not such great planning. Wasn't in my 90-day plan, not gonna lie. Oh god, I'm losing the plot. Enjoy. Do you ever feel like you're drowning in a sea of marketing musts and shitty business shoulds? Yeah? Well, you're in the right place. Your Biz, Your Rules is here to help you kick that crap out of the road so you can build your biz your way. Okay, I'm just going to preface this by saying this is in fact the third time that I've tried to record this podcast today, because my dog, Casper, has decided that the best possible new game is to try and climb over the microphone in order to lick my face, which unfortunately for you guys leads to lots of scratching and muffling and not actually being able to hear me speak. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that because, you know, all about the reality, and there he goes again. I've kicked him off the chair though, so he can't get too close. Anyway, today I want to talk about the reason that I love this time of year. So it's not just because it's autumn and the fashion gets good and the food gets good and just the nature gets good, but it's also because the start of October marks the beginning of the last quarter of the year, the last 90-day stint. And I know I've talked about 90-day planning a few times in passing here on this podcast and on my blog and on Instagram and everywhere else you've heard me ramble on. But today I wanted to dive into how I actually go about doing my 90-day planning. And really, briefly, I'll talk about the why of the actual planning. So I love a good planning session, I really, really do. But so the thing with annual planning is I feel like it's very easy to lose steam and lose momentum and lose interest, because so many things change in a whole year. Like your interests might change, your priorities might change, the amount of time you have available, the things you want to create. Like you might not have all of your ideas at the beginning of the year. I mean, in fact, I can't think of a single year where I've had all of my great ideas carefully noted down on January 1st. That just never happens. They always hit when you're like, I don't know, walking down the street in November or something. Random times. So the great thing about 90-day planning is you have these sort of 4 different times to check in and review everything and think about what you're doing. And I feel like 90 days gives you enough of a big picture to really get focused and make things happen, because I think doing all of your planning every month, that's not long enough. I feel like months fly by in an absolute flash, and yeah, for me it's just not long enough to make any big things happen. So 90 days, perfect sweet spot. Anyway, if you've clicked onto this and are listening, you probably already know the benefits of a 90-day plan and you just want to hear how I do it. So let's get to that. So like I said, I've tried recording this 3 times, so I'm pretty thirsty. So if you hear frantic gulping in the background, I'm just downing the water, keeping the hydration going, because we all know that's important. Anyway, enough of the water rambling. So 90-day plan. The first step for me, and I'm not sure if this even counts as a step, this is like a pre-step, is to make sure I've got some time set aside in my calendar. So I will block out a couple of hours on the Friday before the new quarter starts to really think about this stuff and give myself some client free time to focus on what I want to prioritize over the coming 3 months. Because I found that if I just try to slot it in around all of the other things that I do, I rush through it, I don't make it a priority, it falls to the bottom of my list, and I don't really create a plan that feels good. I need a good chunk of time to really be able to do that. So that's the pre-step. The first actual step is to review all of the different things in my business. So I'll start by reviewing my last 90-day plan. I'll look at the goals that I'd listed out. Did I achieve them? Did I not achieve them? Did they feel good? Like, why didn't I achieve certain things? Did I lose interest? Did they stop being relevant? Did I bring on any new clients over that time? Did I randomly start selling a new thing that I hadn't factored in? What kind of money have I been making? What kind of content have I been publishing, like free content? Have I had any new ideas? Because in my 90-day plans, I always have a little section for new ideas to think about later, so I don't get too distracted. So I'll look at that list. I'll look at all of the habits that I said I wanted to implement and review whether they've worked, whether they've made a difference, whether I couldn't keep to them, all of that stuff. And I think it's also really important to review your finances. And this is not something that I've been very good at doing before. And in fact, this 90 days is probably the one where I've done that most vigilantly. So I sat down one Friday night and really went through all of my income statements and figured out exactly what I'm spending money on. So every single tool that I pay for, every single subscription, everything, popped it on in a spreadsheet. I also did a breakdown of all of the money that I've made so far this year, so I can actually see it all in one place. And I also did a bit of a sort of an income plan. So if I have the retainers that I've still got, if I sell however many spots I want to sell, the content arsenal, if I do all of this stuff, what does my income look like on a consistent monthly basis? So I now have a handy spreadsheet for that, which is always good. So looking at finances is so important, thinking about the amount of money you want to make, but then how do you break that down and actually make it happen? So you can't just say a number and then expect that to all of a sudden become a thing. You have to really break it down, really get strategic and figure out what you're going to do to earn that money. So finances, that's the first thing to think about. The second thing to think about are any events that you're going to be involved with. And I'm using that term pretty broadly. So by events, I mean things like calls you're going to be on. So if you've got, let's say, regular weekly accountability calls, if you attend co-working sessions, if you have coaching sessions, if you're taking part in a free challenge, if you're going to an in-person conference, if you're going on holiday, if you're going to be launching something, if you're going to be running a live round of your course, if you're going to be hosting a challenge, if you're going to be hosting a webinar, all of that stuff should be factored in. And ideally, you want to put all of those into your planner of choice on specific dates. Now, let me just rewind a little bit and tell you what I use for my 90-day plans. I use Asana. And this might surprise you because I'm generally more of a paper and pen kind of person because I do love my pens. But I find Asana really, really useful for this because you can put in all of those events and actually assign the dates and times. So they will appear in your calendar, in your daily task list, and you can see what's coming ahead of time and you know that you haven't forgotten about anything. And this is why it's such a great place to house your goals as well. So because you can have, let's say, 2 or 3 big goals that you're working on in any 90-day period. But it's not like you just do one thing and then those goals are done. Each of those goals is going to have a whole bunch of little actions attached to them. So you can list out all of those subtasks and then you can assign them to yourself or to members of your team on specific days and dates and times and whatever, so that you know they're mapped out in a way that's going to make them easy to implement. It's not like you're doing a mad hustle to try and get everything done in the first week of the quarter and then you're just bouncing around doing nothing. This has got to be sustainable. It's got to be easy to implement, otherwise you won't implement it. That's just how these things work. So I've touched on the goals, and like I said, I tend to have three goals each quarter that I focus on. One of them is usually a life goal. So for example, this time around, it's all about self-care because I'm really trying to amp that up. And then the other two are more business related. So for me, one of them is to relaunch the content arsenal, and the other one is to review and tighten up all of my internal systems. So they don't have to be like big sexy things. It doesn't have to be like write a book and do this and do that and travel the world. It can just be the next 3 things that are going to move your life forward in the way you want them to, in the way you want your life to be. That makes no sense whatsoever. So they can just be 3 reasonably sized things that will help you move forward in a way that makes sense for your vision, your life goals, whatever. I'm rambling. Another thing that I like to do every single time I do a 9-day plan is I look at my habits. So things like my morning ritual, my evening ritual, my working hours, my break times, my reading habits, like any mindset work I do, workouts, all of that stuff. I take a look and see what I'm doing, see what I need more of, and see how I can make that happen. And the answer is often just put it in Asana. It really is. So what you can do in Asana is you can create a little, say, let's call it a habit goal, and set it as a recurring task. So it can be a daily thing, it could be a Monday and a Wednesday thing, it could be a weekly thing, a monthly thing, whatever is relevant for this particular goal. And then again, it'll just pop up in your calendar or your task list, prompting you to do that thing at the appropriate time. So for example, I have read 30 minutes a day set up as a daily recurring task. I have do a 40-minute workout set up as a recurring task 3 times a week. I have what else have I got? I've got meditation in there, I've got journaling in there, I've got walking my dogs an extra time every day in there. I've got all of these little bite-sized tasks colour-coded naturally in my Asana, so I know that I need to do them. I know that they become like autopilot things that I need to do regularly, and that's the point of habits. You want to be doing them regularly, and this is just the most effective way that I've found to make sure it happens, because it's so easy to get all enthusiastic about these new things you're going to do and then just stop after day 4. This is the way that I've actually managed to make them a thing, make it happen consistently. And to be honest, it makes me feel better about life, it makes me feel better about my business, it makes me feel like I'm going in the right direction, and that's all we can ever hope for. So in conclusion, 90-day planning is amazing, and so is Asana, so just get on that. I also wanted to briefly talk about next week. So next week I'm having a holiday, like an actual holiday where I get on an aeroplane and go somewhere for a whole week. I'm pretty excited. It's been 2 years since I last went abroad, and I can't remember the last time I had a proper week off away, or just week off at home, because even when I'm supposedly off, I still kind of work. But I've promised myself and my travel companions that I'm not even going to take my laptop, which is really terrifying for me. I genuinely don't think I've ever been away from my laptop for a whole week ever since I've had a laptop. So that's going to be pretty scary for me, but I think it's so needed. I think I just need to sit by a pool and drink wine and read books. Oh, and on that note, I am actually taking bets about how many books I can read in a week. So my goal is to read as many as I can, but people have been guessing specific numbers. My fiance Jason thinks I'm going to manage to read 10 books while I'm away, so we will see. If you want to have your guess, then feel free to drop me a message on Instagram, and I will let you know who wins. Maybe there should be a prize. That's such a good idea. Okay, For the person who guesses correctly, I am going to give them a bundle of my favourite books. I've literally just decided this very second, so I'm not sure what those books are going to be. But if you have your guess and you win, you will get some free books. There you go. So yeah, I'm going to have a week off, and I had intended to record another podcast right after this and schedule it out, but I think I'm actually not going to. I think I'm going to have a proper week off. And especially because these podcasts have started being much more in the moment, and I'm sharing what's going on at the time it's going on rather than scheduling things way in advance. So I think I'm just going to leave it. I think we're going to have next week off. And yeah, let's see if the world explodes when I fail to publish my weekly podcast. I have a sneaking suspicion it's not going to. Just putting it out there. Anyway, oh my god, you can tell this is like, what, third, fourth time of me recording this, because I am absolutely losing the plot. Anyway, have a brilliant rest of the week. I highly encourage you to think about doing a 90-day plan, and I definitely highly encourage you to think about doing your 90-day plan in Asana. And that's it. I will speak to you guys when I get back. Thank you so much for listening. I genuinely hope that you enjoyed listening to this episode as much as I enjoyed creating it, because seriously, I love this stuff. Now, if you'd like to take it a little bit further, if you'd like to learn more from me, just have a bit of a chat, or share your thoughts on this show, then please do come find me on Instagram. My handle is @DaraCharlotte. I'll see you there.